unfortunately, the way the state of the law is right now, my suggestion is, and I suggested to Maria earlier this week, is ask the legislature to immediately go back to allowing for columns.
On Saturday, Guam Election Commission attorney Jeff Moot said the hands of the GEC board were tied when it came to placing independent candidates or a third party on the primary election ballot. Although the board approved the ballot format and certified the candidates over the weekend, they couldn't put Jonathan Diaz in the Guam delegate race portion of the ballot because of current Guam law. GEC Executive Director Maria Pangilinan.
The Guam Election Commission voted to direct me to inform Mr. Diaz that he will not be, at this point, he will not be on the ballot.
Meanwhile, Diaz called into the K57 Breakfast Show with Ray Gibson this morning and aired his concerns with the 500 people that petitioned for him to run as an independent congressional candidate. He mentions if he goes through the judicial process to remedy the situation, it could postpone both elections. So instead, he looked to the legislature to fix this part of their election reform process.
As of this point in time, Public Law 31-59 is inconsistent with the code annotated, and therefore we need to expedite this because 500 people will be discriminated at this year's elections if I'm not placed on the ballot on the primary or the general election.
Speaker Judy Wampag called lawmakers into session this afternoon to discuss Bill 488, introduced by Democrat Senator Dennis Rodriguez. The measure authorizes the GEC board to reconfigure the primary election ballot to accommodate independent candidates by placing the names of candidates in 3 or more columns, separated by each political party. Rodriguez tells PNC this issue was supposed to be resolved in a previous legislation that was vetoed out. However, he and Republican Minority Leader Senator Frank Blas Jr. say everyone finally wanted to resolve this problem through Bill 488.
This provision that we just passed today was included in the election reform bill, Bill 413. However, it was vetoed, and so there was no way to, to move around that. And so now that the Election Commission has an independent candidate that they certified, this issue is before us, and so with the passage of this bill, they can now accommodate an independent candidate.
We recognize that this was an issue that needed to be resolved, that we all wanted to make sure, to ensure that everybody has an opportunity to participate in the democratic process. And, bringing this bill forward and passing it as quickly as we could gave so that, we can move forward and Mr. Diaz can move forward in his campaign toward, to run for the congressional seat.
Pangilinan adds once GEC reviews the enacted form of the measure, then they will revise their ballot design to incorporate the 3 columns and get approval from the board. Meanwhile, candidates have already been assigned their numbers through the GEC's lottery system on Saturday. Pangilinan notes 7 primaries were canceled within the September 1st election, noting those who are running solo for an elected position.
Those that have one Republican and one Democratic candidate vying for the same position, those races are canceled. Everybody else, besides those that are Lone Rangers, pulled their numbers for during the lottery on Saturday for ballot placement.